It was the kind of summer day that made the air feel heavier than usual, where even the concrete beneath your feet seemed to sweat. Brooklyn Heights buzzed like a live wire, traffic honking, phones ringing, people shouting into earpieces, and the metallic groan of dollies hauling lighting rigs across cobblestone. In the middle of this orchestrated chaos stood Keanu Reeves, quiet, observant, and detached in the way only Keanu could be. The set for the latest John Wick sequel had taken over an entire city block. Cables coiled like snakes around lampposts, prop weapons were checked and rechecked, and crew members hustled through the organized bedlam like ants on caffeine. And in the eye of that hurricane, Keanu stood perfectly still. Beside him sat Buddy, a broad-shouldered, warm-eyed pitbull with a dusty gray coat and a pink scar over his brow, faint, but permanent. Unlike the hardened stuntmen or A-list actors lounging in the trailers, Buddy wasn't acting. He was real. And today, he was tired. "Buddy looks beat," Keanu murmured, crouching beside him and running a hand down the dog's back. His fingers brushed warm fur. Too warm. Buddy was panting, tongue hanging low, body sagging against the pavement. A production assistant, young, enthusiastic, eager to help, stepped forward. "Want me to take him for a walk? Maybe get him some water?" Keanu smiled, a slow, quiet kind of smile. "Nah. I need to walk him myself. Helps me decompress. And I want to see the world through his eyes today." With that, Keanu unhooked Buddy's leash from the nearby trailer, adjusted his baseball cap, and the two of them strolled away from the flashing lights and barking orders, into the real streets of Brooklyn. What Keanu didn't know was that this walk, seemingly ordinary, would become the most important one of his life. Chapter 1, Into the Heat. The city pulsed with heat. Keanu walked slowly, deliberately, letting Buddy sniff hydrants, fences, and lampposts. Passers-by occasionally recognized him, eyes widening, whispers exchanged, but no one approached. Keanu had a way of blending in, even while standing out. They walked past antique stores and bakeries that smelled like brown sugar. Buddy wagged his tail weakly but stayed close, occasionally pausing to sit in the shade. Keanu noticed. "You're not just hot," he said quietly. "You're fading." Then he saw it, an old bar on the corner with a grimy sign that read Iron and Ash, the kind of place where daylight didn't dare stay long. Outside, motorcycles lined the curb like steel beasts, and the roar of laughter and shouting spilled into the street. But near the entrance, Keanu spotted a small metal water fountain. "Perfect," he whispered, leading Buddy over. He bent down to fill his hand with water. Buddy drank eagerly, lapping it up like salvation. As Keanu stood up, adjusting the leash, a sudden jolt of motion snapped his attention sideways. A man, stocky, bearded, wearing a leather vest emblazoned with a flaming skull, staggered out of the bar. He reeked of alcohol and aggression. His boot swung wildly. Thud. The sound echoed through the street. Buddy yelped, collapsing briefly onto the sidewalk. Keanu froze. Time dilated. He saw the biker's boot still raised, the smug leer on his face, and then heard the distant voices of the bar crowd cheering like it was sport. Keanu's eyes locked on the man. "You kicked a dog?" The biker sneered. "It's a mutt. Shouldn't be around people." Keanu's jaw tightened. "You don't get to decide that." The man took a step forward, puffing up his chest. "You want a problem?" Keanu didn't blink. "No. But I'm not walking away, either." A tense silence hung in the air, ready to snap. Then Buddy whimpered. That sound broke Keanu's resolve. He turned, scooped up the dog gently, and without another word, walked away. But in his mind, a fire had lit, a slow-burning flame that wouldn't be put out. Chapter 2, Collapse. The street noise faded as Keanu quickened his pace. He glanced down at Buddy, now trembling, breathing hard, his tongue dark at the edges. Something was very wrong. Keanu flagged a cab, ignoring the driver's stunned face as he climbed in with the dog cradled like a child in his arms. Closest vet. Fast. Minutes later, they burst into a clean, white veterinary clinic. The receptionist froze as she recognized Keanu, but his expression made her forget the fame. He looked like any man terrified of losing something he loved. Emergency, he gasped. He was kicked. And now he's shaking. The vet, Dr. Angela Ramirez, appeared within seconds. She took one look at Buddy and her face darkened. Get him into treatment. Now. Keanu paced the sterile lobby as machines beeped behind closed doors. His fists clenched and unclenched. He replayed the scene again and again, the kick, the biker's smirk, Buddy's yelp. When Dr. Ramirez returned, her face was pale. He's been poisoned, she said quietly. Keanu's voice barely held. What? It's possible the kick ruptured something that had already been done. Maybe he ingested something earlier and it accelerated with stress. We're working on him. Keanu leaned against the wall, dizzy. Will he make it? We don't know yet. Chapter 3, The Past Bites Back. Keanu sat there for hours. The vet had placed Buddy on fluids, and he was stable, but barely. The clinic allowed Keanu to sit by his side, whispering softly, petting him through the clear plastic cone. And in that sterile room, surrounded by machines and beeping monitors, memories surged. He'd once had a dog as a child, Charlie. A rescue. His only friend during his loneliest years. After his father left. After the empty nights. Charlie had died in his arms. Keanu never talked about it. Until now. He leaned in and whispered to Buddy, "You're not leaving me. Not today. Not this way." His phone buzzed, jarring him back. It was a text from the assistant on set. "Everything okay? You're still off-grid." Keanu didn't reply. Instead, he did something else. He called a friend in the NYPD. Chapter 4, Digging Deeper. The officer, Detective Alan Hayes, was a straight shooter. Tough, meticulous, and fiercely loyal. "I need your help," Keanu said, explaining everything. Hayes sighed. "You're sure it was intentional?" "I'm sure he meant to hurt Buddy. And if this guy has poison on his boots, or somehow in the water outside the bar." Hayes's voice shifted. "Iron and ash, you said?" "Yeah." Hayes went quiet for a beat. "That bar's been flagged before. Illegal gambling. Maybe trafficking. Nothing concrete. But animal cruelty, that's new." Keanu's voice lowered. "Let's make it concrete. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 5, Justice Unleashed. Hayes put the wheels in motion. Undercover officers visited the bar, and what they uncovered was darker than expected. Hidden in the basement was a dogfighting ring. Scarred animals in cages. Syringes. Betting slips. Blood-stained flooring. Keanu's got twisted when Hayes sent the photos. The bar was raided 2 days later. The biker who kicked Buddy was arrested on multiple charges. The cruelty wasn't an isolated incident, it was part of a much larger operation. When Keanu walked into the precinct to give a statement, officers paused. They weren't seeing John Wick, they were seeing a man with fire in his eyes, not for revenge, but for justice. Chapter 6, Healing. Buddy made it. Slowly, steadily, under Dr. Ramirez's care, he regained his strength. When Keanu returned to the clinic one evening, Buddy stood on wobbly legs and wagged his tail for the first time. Keanu knelt, tears in his eyes. "You're the strongest co-star I've ever had. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 7. The World Watches. News of the arrest spread. But the real headline wasn't about the raid. It was about Keanu. Keanu Reeves uncovers dogfighting ring after pitbull attack. Social media exploded. Donations to animal shelters spiked. Activists praised his actions. But Keanu avoided interviews. "This isn't about me," he told one reporter. "It's about what happens when we stop walking away." Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 8. A Promise Kept. Months passed. Buddy became a fixture on set, his own trailer, custom treats, and more fans than the actors. He walked red carpets. Wore bow ties. Slept curled beside Keanu between takes. One evening, after a long shoot, Keanu sat in his trailer. Buddy snoozed beside him. Keanu whispered, "I promised you no one would ever hurt you again." And in that silence, he knew he had kept his word. But more importantly, he knew something else. He wasn't just playing a hero anymore. He had become one. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.